Hi, it's Brian reminding you that the next 2 minutes could make all the difference in your world. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And we do it today by reminding each other of one very simple fact. As I like to call it, why do delicate? It's not in your DNA. Fragile is a philosophy. And though everyone around you, talk about fake news, Big Brother, big corporations, big institutions, all the big bullies are counting on you turning your back on yourself. But that ultimately, you and I are never fragile, right? We're never timid without a theory that we believe we're timid. So in moments like this, whether it's coronavirus, in any disaster, in any time of uncertainty, if you will, the people that rise to the top always do one thing, always. What is that one thing? They mortal up. And why do I say that day in and day out? And why do I very boldly say that the next 2 minutes could make all the difference in your world? Because when you remember who you ultimately are, you remember your natural resources, your authentic vigor. You remember the marrow of your mind, if you will. You are unstoppable. There's no government, no corporation, no institution, no gang of people, no toxic, right, individual walking, talking Venus flytraps in your life. None of them get to bring you down because you dictate the outcome of the circumstances. The circumstances don't dictate the outcome to you. You're the one in charge, which is why I say here in the labyrinth of life itself, here in the garden of the mortals, who's in charge? You're in charge. And the faster you and I remember that, also, the faster you and I start acting like it, that we're the ones calling the shots, you will be very pleasantly surprised how the universe dovetails with you. And here's why I think that is. Because I think you and I were put here to kick in some doors. I think you and I were put here to stand up to all the big bullies that are around in today's world. We were put here to make our mark. And when you decide wholeheartedly that one, this is my mark, two, this is my line in the sand, right? This is where I'm not going to tolerate any more toxic influence in my life, people or philosophies. When you decide I'm not going to tolerate the toxic anymore, I think that all of Providence, as the old quotes say, all of Providence moves with you. Because I think the wave, the universe, big bang, big breath, whatever it turns out to be, I think the universe itself digs it when you remember who you are, where you are, and why you're here. And when you stand up and you accept responsibility for those things, I think the universe goes, now she's got it. Now he understands what life is all about. And they start sending us tools. They start sending us things. And I've often thought that it may already be here, but what sharpens when we decide to stand up for who we are, what we are, where we are, and what we're going to do about it, I think our acuity sharpens. I think whether the universe sends things or in the particular moment, I call them the fingerprints of Providence, maybe you and I, our acuity is just a little clearer. And because of that, because it's more powerful, we start to see things. I think it was Joseph Campbell that said that the moment you commit, all sorts of doors open for you. Right? Where before had only been a wall, now it's a window. Now it's an open door waiting for you to kick it in. So whether it's beforehand or afterhand, I think what the universe confers upon us when we decide to put the marrow of our minds through the test, I think it's your sense of acuity. And should you decide in the moment, oh, well, you know what? I think I'll do delicate. I'll just be a little wallflower. I'll just sit here and like a little baby bird waiting for someone to come along and give me a reason, give me something, which is why I talk all the time about the difference between human beings and human gettings. Now, human beings are busy weaponizing the moment. are busy looking at the fingerprints of providence at hand right now and going, great, here's the hodgepodge, here's the gazpacho, if you don't mind a little bit of cultural appropriation. Boy, you know I never do. Here's the gazpacho that I've been presented with, that I'm in the middle of in this particular moment in all of time. What am I going to do about it? As opposed to the other side. Now, we've heard them called before lowlifes making headlines. We've called them brittle brains atop balsa wood spines, these walking, talking pits of human quicksand, right? Proving the point, once again, that misery really loves company. So if they can be miserable, all they want to do is pull you into their definition of apathy, of lethargy, of surrender. But when you decide in the moment, the hell with that. I absolutely refuse to surrender. I absolutely refuse to do delicate. I think the universe itself stands up, takes notice, and then says, great, here's what we're going to do to help you in your adventure. And I believe it is an adventure. Because there are all kinds of expeditions when people say, oh, I plan on going from point A to point B, right? There's all kinds of that. Then there are the things, adventura, right? The ancient Latin of the word adventure means something about to happen. I think when you and I look at the labyrinth of life, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, never a dead end, only a cul-de-sac. When we look at this particular moment in all of time as our jumping stone to the very next moment in all of time, when we look at it that way, then we're not on an expedition. We're not on a journey, because a journey implies that you have a distant point. That makes you a human getting. You'll be happy. You'll be fulfilled. You'll be content. You will have manifested some baloney down the road. Well, human beings don't wait on the baloney. Human beings say that in this particular moment, I absolutely refuse to do delicate, because it's not in my DNA. I absolutely believe that fragile is a philosophy, that timid is a temperament. And if you're waiting on me to be delicate, you're waiting on me to be timid, you're waiting on me to be fragile, you're knocking on the wrong door, because you'll be busy recognizing who you truly are, which is why we say all the time, when it comes to motivation, it's not about motivation, it's about memory. Remember who you are. That's all the motivation you will ever need. Because when you remember what you're ultimately capable of, not what you've been convinced, all the fake news, not what you've been convinced, right? You've been schooled to believe. That's all an attempt to hold you back, hold you down, so that they can get first place. What's that joke? I don't have to be faster. You're out and about, you're walking around, here comes a grizzly bear, and people say, oh, I don't have to be faster than the grizzly bear. I just have to be faster than you. And I'm telling you, pure as pie, that the toxic relationships in your life, the toxic institutions, the toxic people, they don't plan on being faster than fate. They plan on being faster than you. And if they can beat you by holding you back, if they can beat you by casting a net, right? If they can beat you by chaining you down, if they can beat you by convincing you that you're delicate, you're fragile, you're timid, bleh, they can convince you of all those things. How much easier is it going to be if they hamstring you? They think, how much easier is it going to be for them to achieve everything that this life has to offer? So I went a little over our 2 minutes, as I always will here on our 10-minute shows. But remember that ultimately you don't have to do delicate unless you decide, because it's most certainly not in your DNA. There is nothing fragile about you except perhaps your philosophy. And there is nothing timid about you other than the theory that you are timid. And when you remember who you ultimately are, there isn't a door that you can kick in. All right, thank you all so very much for joining us. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning with another edition of the Brian Brawdy Show, our little 10-minute fire drill, right? So that when you get up, you go, somebody pulled the fire alarm. This could be the real thing. I better get going. Well, guess what? This life is the real thing, and you better get going. And you can get going by remembering that delicate is a decision. And don't fall for it just because other people are praying. They're hoping that you'll buy into this being delicate baloney so that they'll get there before you do. Don't let that happen. Remember, until next time, always look up, stand up, bring your own bold and mortal up, because there's never been a better time to be you than it is right now. We'll see you tomorrow morning.